Good evening, everyone. We're back for a treat. Being half term this week, I thought I'd show you how I make my pumpkin cake. So it's really easy to make. You don't even need your mixer. You always get loads of flesh left over in your pumpkins, and you're always wondering what to do with all the leftover flesh. Well, a cake is just one suggestion. You can make it into a curry, risotto, anything really. So that's my pumpkin. The seeds I've saved, I need to finish washing those and then dry them, and then you can sprinkle them with a little bit of sugar and maybe some cayenne pepper or any sort of seasoning, and roast them in the joe or on your barbecue to make some little snacks. So we're going to try that later. So I'm going to start by opening up a little drink to wish you all a lovely evening and hope you're well. I'm delighted to have my cameraman number one home with me because it's half term week. Hello, Ashley.
It's good to be back.
So yeah, hope everyone's well. It's been a funny few weeks. So yeah, making the opportunity to go live with a cook. It's sort of autumn, winter. I'm wrapped up warm. I actually love cooking outside when it's cold. So yes, so cheers everyone.
It's good to see that we've got some of the regulars popping back in as well.
Oh, that's great.
We've got Roberto says, woohoo, good evening.
Good evening, Roberto.
We also have Dominic Black says, good evening. Anita says, bonsoir, mes amis.
Bonsoir.
Rosie says, evening all. And Anita says, what, no mulled cider?
Well, I'm having a cider because we need to support our local apple producers. But yes, mild cider is great to do on the barbecue. Add some star anise and some cinnamon and warm it up. It's a bit like a hot toddy. So yes, might have some of that later, Anita. Might even light the fire pit later, Ashley, to keep warm.
We definitely need the heat because it's chilly now.
It is chilly, but we're all good to go. Okay, so I will post the recipe up in the files section later. As I say, it's a nice simple recipe, great to make with your kids. You can make a big cake, or you can make it in some muffin cases. But yes, so in here I've got 150 grams of melted butter. Into there I'm going to add, now this is 250 grams of just the grated flesh of the pumpkin. Now it was a bit tricky to do because it was just like the scrapings out. It's easier to grate a solid piece of the flesh, like a block of cheese. It's not so hard on your fingers. So that needs to go into the melted butter. It's a bit like a sloppy mix. It's a bit like a muffin mix. So that needs to go in there. Now, if you didn't have pumpkin, you could use grated carrots, or courgette would even work well, or butternut squash. So you then need 2 eggs, 2 large eggs. Need to give them a bit of a whisk before putting them in, so we'll just give them a little whisk. What's everyone been cooking today? We've done a bit of pork shoulder earlier on the rotisserie, so we're going to have that for dinner. And some pumpkin cake for pudding.
Roberto says it's great to see the slippers back.
Oh yeah, they're back. They've weared well over the summer. And I got a nice hat to keep me warm. It even says something nice on the back, look.
Just rub me, it's cold. It's a fantastic hat. You won that in a competition?
Yeah. So, right, so beaten egg into there. So it is, it's like a bit of a sloppy mess. So give that a good old mix.
Sounds like a sloppy mess.
It is. It's like scrambled egg. Right, so once that's mixed up, you then want to add in the sugar. 200 grams of light brown sugar. Now the light brown sugar gives a nice sort of caramelly, molassesy sort of flavour. So give that a good old mix. So it's a cake you can make with the kids, being half term. And I say they make nice little muffin cakes as well. So if you're making muffin cakes, you need to reduce the cooking time. For a whole cake, it's about 45 minutes. For muffin cakes, you probably want 30. But in the dough, I will recommend cooking it about 150 degrees. So yeah, 3/4 of an hour to an hour before it's cooked. Right. So into this sloppy mixture, we've got 200 grams of self-raising flour, a teaspoon of baking powder and half a teaspoon of salt. Also, to give it a little bit of sort of a spicy flavour, I've got 2 teaspoons of ground mixed spice. Now you could use cinnamon or cinnamon and mixed spice, whatever you fancy or whatever you've got in your cupboard. It just adds a nice flavour. So we'll pop that in, mix that round, make sure all the flour is combined into the mix. Who else is braving the cold tonight and cooking outside? It's got dark really quick. You've probably all enjoyed your extra hour in bed. But this is it now. Winter is on its way and I'm not packing my barbecues away. I'm going to be cooking.
It just means we can have more wintry foods and stews
yes.
and long, slow ones.
Curries, stir fries, puddings, more puddings. Okay, so once that's all mixed in, I've got 75 grams of dried mixed fruit. Now you could use sultanas or cranberries or a mixture of dried apricots, anything you've got really. If you wanted, you could add some nuts in. It's just a nice way to use up the flesh of your pumpkin. And those sort of pumpkins don't have a lot of flavour. So when you're making your curries and risottos, it just takes on whatever flavour you add to the dish. Right, so once that's all mixed up, you need to put it into your baking tin. I've got one of these springform baking tins. I've lined it with a liner. And pour the mixture into there. Is Jeanette joining us tonight, Ashley? Is Jeanette on?
Haven't seen a name pop in. Okay. Everybody's gone a bit quiet. I think they're just enjoying watching the mixing.
Or inside in the warm. Oh, look, it's a bit cold, but it's okay. I think food always tastes nicer when it's cooked in the cold. Okay, so just level that round. All the stringy bits are just the bits of flesh.
Rosie says, what size is that tin?
I think it's a 9-inch. My Blue Peter moment, that's a slightly smaller tin, so depending on the size of the tin, it will give you a deeper cake. So the smaller the cake tin, you'll get a deeper cake. So this is slightly bigger, so it'll be a bit thinner. Means you get more slices out of it. Okay, so I have baked one earlier, so we'll open up the dough and see how it's getting on. Okay, so it's risen nicely. Just got a few little indents in the top there. Oh, the screws come out clean though. That's a good sign. That might be a fruit. Let me just wipe that and have another stab at that.
It's like when you're checking your car for oil.
That's a bit of fruit. I think that's done. I'm not sure. Maybe just another few minutes, just to be on the safe side. I'm just going to open up the vents, get that temperature up just a little bit. So, any questions while that's just finishing off cooking?
Dave Clark says, evening, Sue.
Good evening, Dave.
It's popped in. Hey, Dave.
Order some hats, Dave, for my cameraman and my husband, thank you, so they can join the club.
Ricky Hewlett says, evening, guys.
Hi, Ricky.
Roberto says, not far off. And Jasmine Elkington says, another 5 mins, I would say.
I say, it's at that, not sure, but I want it cooked properly, so another 5 minutes just to be on the safe side. So, what's everyone's favourite winter dish to cook? Mine is like oxtail stew, any sort of casserole.
That casserole we had the other day.
Oh,
was it a casserole?
A cassoulet, actually. Cassoulet.
And what's the difference?
It's a French dish, so that had pork steaks, lamb steaks, and some beef sausages, and some of Mark Dennis's andouille, which gave it that kick, and some cannellini beans. That's what I call a one-pot wonder. That cooked up really nice, didn't it?
It was fantastic.
And we had enough of leftovers the next day because it had about 10 sausages in it. So yeah, a cassoulet. Can't beat jacket potatoes, I don't think.
Especially the way you do them. You do them like you cut them in half and...
Yeah, sprinkle them in olive oil and salt and pepper.
Yeah, honestly, they're my favourite ways of... It's way better than a normal jacket. It's just got something else. It's extra.
And puddings, obviously. Puddings. Could do apple. I've got loads of apples my friends have kindly given me, so I've been doing a lot of apple cakes. So yeah, apple cake. And I shall make an apple sauce to go with our pork for later, Ashley.
Dave says new hats and an apron are needed, I think. Jasmine Elkington says, love you so much. You're an inspiration to people to cook out their comfort zone.
Oh.
And Hazel Ferguson says steak pie. That's probably her favourite winter dish.
Oh, steak pie, yum. Yes, anything in pastry. Or suet pastry. Or something with dumplings.
Dave says, don't tell Mr. Scott Fraser. Chris Barnes says, so proud to have you as my Auntie Susan.
Oh.
And he says, fabulous. And Chris says, she's everyone's Auntie Susan.
Oh. I just part of your barbecue family. It's great. And even now I'm back at work and people are coming into the shop, it's just nice to chat barbecue, and it's really nice.
Ricky says, make some apple wine. We could do that.
Now I've got a bottle of wine in my wine rack, or in my kitchen I made in 1994, I think, when Philip was born.
Right.
I'm saving it for a special occasion. Blackberry wine. My dad always made wine. And I've got another bottle of wine as well. I must open them. But yes, I haven't made wine. Kids got in the way of my winemaking skills.
Well, it wasn't like I was drinking it before you could make it, was it?
We've made beer. And we've got another lot of beer to make.
If there was a cider making kit, I'd have a go. I don't know if there is one though. I don't know if they exist.
We have to get apples for that, actually.
I think we have some.
Not enough for a vat of wine. Right. Do you think that's 5 minutes?
Probably.
Have a little check.
Nattering for about 5 minutes. Good.
Okay. That's better. Happy with that. Okay, I'm going to take that off.
Passes the cake check test.
Gloves. Yes, I've got my stack of wood in ready for the winter. My nice little wood store I built in lockdown. That's coming to its own now. Stocked up with charcoal as well, ready for the winter.
Dave says your new gasket's looking good.
Oh, I haven't put them on yet, Dave. I need to. I didn't have time. I spent all afternoon grating my pumpkin. So it's my job to do on my next day off. So thanks for sending them out. Right, so ideally you need to let the cake cool before you cut it. And the idea of having these springform tins, they just pop out the tin nice and easy. And it's fine to use your baking tins, your normal baking tins in the barbecue. If they do colour a bit, if you use any smoking wood, they just scrub off in the wash. So what we'll do is we'll just, I say really you need to let it cool a little bit, but that's looking very good. I'm pleased with that. Oh. Right, so moment of truth. Have a little taste, I suppose. It has to be done. Right. Oh, it's nice. Cakes turn out so nice and light on the barbecue. I think that's why I like making them out here. Nice big piece. So if I let it cool a bit, it won't sort of break up so much. Look how light that is, actually.
It's very
I've
airy.
got some ice. I think we've got some ice cream in the freezer. Ooh. I'm going to have to let that cool a little bit before I tuck into that. So there's my pumpkin cake. Now you could, like a carrot cake, you could mix up some cream cheese and put on the top. I don't like that really myself, but that's what we do with the carrot cake. I'd probably have it with some ice cream, or because I'm in Devon I might have clotted cream, or even custard, like a proper autumn pudding. Oh, it even smells a little bit Christmassy. It's too early to mention that word yet. Okay, so I'm going to have a little bite. If I don't burn myself.
It'll warm you up because it's so chilly.
Yeah. Oh, mmm. 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 That is delicious. I think it needs a bit of custard though with it to make it into a really nice autumn pudding. So I'm going to put this one into cook. So that's going to take about an hour. It's on 150, and as usual I've got my little baking tip, an upturned baking tin, just to give a bit more height so it doesn't burn the bottom of your cake or your bread. That's going to go in to cook, and we'll check that in an hour. Cake for the neighbours, they'll be lucky tomorrow. So yes, so I'll sign off and wish you a happy evening. Fire up and keep cooking.